I'm going to share my screen. All right. Can I have a thumbs up? Can you guys see the PowerPoint? Can anyone see it? Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is week 3 of our 3-part webinar series, How to Build Confidence and Autonomy for You and Your Family. And tonight we're going to be talking about extinguishing negative behaviors. I'm going to start with a recap from weeks 1 and 2 because we're going to be talking about extinguishing pretty larger behaviors. And by doing these 2 things, you're actually might be able to bypass that larger behavior and you might knock it out with these easy, fun tips. So the first is behavior momentum. That's simply creating positive change in your kiddo. All you're going to do is to have your kiddo do something you know they know how to do. I suggested maybe starting with rocks, paper, scissors, shoot before they do something they don't want to do. You're filling their tanks with confidence and validation to give them the fuel they need to tackle more difficult expectations. So let's say your kiddo doesn't like brushing their teeth. All you're going to say is, hey, before you brush those teeth, let's do rocks, paper, scissors, shoot. Rocks, paper, scissors, shoot. I won! Rocks, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, you beat me. Rocks, paper, scissors, shoot. You won again. Oh, okay. Go brush your teeth, rematch. So what's happening in your kiddo's brain right now is it's telling them, I can complete tasks. Doing things that are asked of me is actually can be enjoyable. And so I'm going to urge you, try out some behavior momentum around your house and have fun with it. The next is schedules. Schedules are important because they can tell us what we need to complete, how long to spend on a task. I urged people to think of, remember at the beginning when we were all in quarantine and we didn't know how long this was going to take, if school was going to happen again. And people often said, I just wish I knew what was happening because then I could develop a plan. That's when not having a schedule, it's that like icky, not sure what's going to happen situation. The best way to describe it is think of your riding on public transportation. You know, they have those lovely signs with the dots up ahead and tells you all the stops. Or you have the visual of looking and saying, oh, there's the public library. I have 2 stops after that. So imagine you're riding along the bus. There are no directions. The windows are blocked out. You're riding along. You don't know when your stop is. And all of a sudden, someone rips you off the bus and they're like, come on, let's go. We need to go. That's what sometimes it can feel like for kiddos. Adults often take for granted all of our prior knowledge. So think about what happens. You tell your kiddo, come on, we're leaving, shoes on. We have to go to this thing. They had no idea. So often tantrums in kiddos can happen because it's unexpected. So if you didn't watch it, I encourage you to check out our second webinar, which was all about scheduling and how to make visual, fun, kinesthetic schedules. All the tools, strategies, and materials presented tonight are science-based. It's around theories of applied behavioral analysis. They're designed to increase confidence, decrease anxiety, with the goal of your kiddo working as autonomously as possible so you can fill the obligations that you need to. Right, we're going to be in this weird transition time, like school's going to end, some people are still working. So we are going to increase your kiddo's confidence, decrease anxiety, and fill them with positivity. They're going to have all of these tools to be able to work on their own so you can do what you need to do. The tools tonight meet the needs of all learners. Don't know any house where all of the children are exactly the same. These tools will work for preschoolers through high school. If your kiddo identifies as neurodivergent, ADHD, ADD, or autism, if your kiddo identifies as verbal or nonverbal, if your kiddo is typically developing, these will be extremely effective. If you have a kiddo who's done really well through distance learning, isn't struggling at all, I still suggest you implement some positive behavior strategies because bumps will happen eventually, right? And if you've already been practicing, they will have the tools already in their toolbox for when those bumps happen. So within the next 10 minutes, I'm going to teach you strategies that will extinguish unwanted behaviors standing in way of your kiddo's daily life. These are those things that you're like, oh, if they just didn't do this, we'd be able to do X, Y, and Z more easily. How to increase positive behaviors in your kiddo so they realize when they do these things how fantastic it is. We are going to be praising all of the fantastic behaviors they do, and they're going to learn, hey, I get attention from whoever's at home when I do these great things. And your mindset around discipline is going to be shifted, as well as your communication around behavior. This is one of my favorite strategies or things that happen as a result of this, that you are going to, when you see your child having a behavior, you're going to see the good that's happening, not just all the disruptions that are happening. It's also interesting because the more you do this, you're going to start to apply it to the adults in your life, your coworkers, and I'm so excited for you to see this shift around looking for the positive and realizing even though there's one big unwanted, there's so many positives happening around you. So I am going to encourage you, again, to use your power for positive change. We're talking about extinguishing a specific behavior tonight. So you have this behavior, right? You have this thing that's happening. In the past, it was distance learning. We're going to use the example tonight of slamming a door. So let's say you have the slamming the door. This is the unwanted behavior. It's not going away. Your kiddo's been engaging in this behavior for several weeks. So use your energy to implement positive behavior strategies, because if not, you're going to have to be reactive. Reactive is where all that icky, the yelling, the frustration comes from. Also, you're inadvertently reinforcing the behavior. You're bringing attention to it. So all you're teaching your kiddo is, oh my gosh, when I slam the door, even though mom's yelling and, maybe sighing, all of these things, they're still getting attention from it. So you are going to use your energy and your power to change behaviors using positive behavior strategies. The behavior momentum, the scheduling, and tonight, reinforcing your kiddo's positive behavior. If you do these things, this will lead to a decrease in anxiety and an increase in confidence. So we're going to choose a behavior to extinguish. This should be something that is observable and measurable, is the first check mark that you're going to kind of like tick off on how to extinguish a behavior. Observable and measurable simply means you can see it with your eyes. Hold on. I'm going to go close my door real quick because I'm also a mom and my kiddos are running around downstairs and my dog just pushed the door open. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. So observable, measurable. You can see it with your eyes. It's observable. Measurable means you can count how often it's happening. Feelings aren't observable or measurable, so it'd be hard to extinguish that, right? Because someone can be smiling, but inside they're feeling really angry. So you're going to make sure you can see it and you can count how often it's happening. The behavior should also happen pretty frequently, because you don't want to put in all this work, right, for a behavior that's only happening maybe like once every couple days. Also, the behavior shouldn't meet a need that your kiddo can't control. So these are tics, self-stimulatory behaviors, because those can be caused by medication, trauma, other major events. If your child's doing those things, or engaging those behaviors, you want to address that with your doctor, a BCBA, anyone in that medical field. And it's a behavior that you should be able to consistently ignore. Don't punish yourself is the other part of that, right? We all have so much happening. I use the example of like, don't take away the iPad if you know your kiddo's going to need to go on the iPad to be able to do work. You want to implement this positive behavior change, but you need to be able to do it, right? So make sure before you take this on, you're going to be able to ignore the behavior. And also, since we're ignoring the behavior, the kiddo cannot be hurting themselves or someone else, because you need to address that. Again, if your kiddo's engaging in those behaviors, then please reach out to their pediatrician and they'll be able to help you with that. So let's get started. Let's look at a behavior that we're going to extinguish. So here's almost like a little case study. Every time my kiddo doesn't like what I have to say or is asked to complete a task, they stomp upstairs and slam the door. Okay, so pretend you're in your house, something's happening. So this is our case study. You're going to choose one specific behavior that you would like them to stop. You would choose one behavior because it can get overwhelming if you're trying to ignore all of these different behaviors, and you won't actually be able to see that positive change because you're focused on so many different things. So you're just going to pick one behavior happening that you would like to extinguish. You're going to think back now to that criteria, go over the checklist, go back to that slide. Is it observable and measurable? Can I see it? Can I count it? Are they not hurting themselves? They can't help the behavior. So the behavior going forward that we're going to extinguish is slamming the door. Because you know what, the stomping the feet, I can get over that, but the slamming the door is really being disruptive in our home. So find the pinky toe, and you're going to find out what that means. But I want you to keep that image in your head. Always think of, okay, I'm going to find the pinky toe. Now that we have the behavior we're going to ignore, we're ignoring the slamming the door, we want to reinforce the positive. And all the positive things your kiddo is doing, the more the better. You're going to flood them with positivity. Be as specific as possible. Kids hear great job all the time. You want to pinpoint the specific and spectacular that they are doing because we want them to do more of it, and they can't do more of the positive things if they don't know what they're doing, right? So, wow, your sister was really difficult today and you used kind words when you just talked to her. Thank you for feeding the dog in the morning. I know you're tired. Those are specific things that your kiddo is doing. And because you're praising it, they're going to do that more. Again, we're trying to increase positive behaviors so that your child will learn, hey, I'm not getting any attention when I engage in these negative behaviors. They can slam the door all they want. You're going to ignore it, but you are going to praise, wow, I love the way you had walking feet. Because that's great. They're walking. Even though they're slamming the door, they were walking. That's great. So this can be really, really difficult to do, especially if you're in those moments of really big disruptive behaviors and there's lots happening. I worked with a kiddo who, when he got mad, he would come into an office, slam a door, start swearing, throwing things, stomp his feet. But you know what? He did all these while he was sitting down. So all of these other behaviors were happening, and as long as he was staying safe, I didn't acknowledge it, but I would tell him, you seem really upset, but you're sitting down. I'm so proud of you, because that must be really, really difficult to do while you're so upset. You're sitting down though. So really look, and it's going to take practice, especially if your kiddo's engaging in behavior or it's really frustrating. You know, you get to that wit's end where you're like, look for the calm pinky toe. It's amazing. Kids that are, in crisis, yelling, screaming, will all of a sudden say, thank you. When you compliment them, you'll see their body calm down because they know they're not getting attention for the other things, but you are giving them attention to the positivity that they're doing. So let's practice. This is the sheet that we will also post on social media. You can take it off this. This is your behavior brainstorm sheet. So let's see less of this. If I was doing it, I would write down slamming the door. More of this. You're going to write down all the positive things that your kiddo is doing. And this is almost like a cheat sheet for you. So the more of this column, you're going to look for those things throughout the day and make sure that you're praising them. So if you can pick one positive behavior too around that event of that big stuff, like I had said, the kiddo sitting down even though they were swearing, throwing things and all of that. So for me, the slamming the door, well, they used walking feet in. So when they come out or I see them, I could say, wow, I really like the way you used walking feet. It's great if you can find one positive behavior in that big moment, and then throughout the day, find the specific and spectacular little things they're doing and reinforce those. And again, they're going to learn, I'm not getting any attention from the negative stuff, but wow, mom is really telling me I'm doing great at all of these other things. Beware the extinction burst. Consistency is everything, and stay strong. An extinction burst is simply your kiddo's brain saying, hey, I'm not getting attention for this behavior I was engaging in. I better really ramp up that behavior because she has always paid attention to that behavior in the past, so I better really ramp it up so that she continues to reinforce it. It's like the classic when you're in the grocery store, the candy on the side. Your kiddo cries, so you give them the candy, and then they stop crying, and then the one time you don't do it, right, they really start to cry. That is the extinction burst. We reinforce behaviors all the time without even knowing it. And it's actually really difficult to actively ignore a behavior because sighing, yelling, a slight eye roll, even when you're saying something positive around the behavior, like, thanks for not slamming the door that hard this time, you're reinforcing it because you're paying attention to that behavior you're talking about with your kiddos. So in their brain, they're saying, oh, I got attention from that behavior. So I had shared this before, but last year I had the privilege to work with Bayside YMCA's after school program. We were looking at some data and realized a lot of kiddos were having a difficult time during this particular transition. So we have this behavior, we need to fix it. Some kiddos are struggling. We implemented some positive behavior changes, we shifted it. Then I told the staff, beware because the extinction burst is coming. Sure enough, behaviors increased. It seemed like this wasn't going to work. But that is when you have to be your most consistent because, again, their brain is telling them, oh, we better really make sure we're trying and that she's going to be consistent. Sure enough, if you are consistent, the behavior stops. It was one of the most successful changes we made throughout the year, and so much good came from it. So again, stay consistent, stay strong. When you see it, you'll know it. And that actually means that you're getting really close to the behavior being done. So just stick it out. Be easy on yourself. This is really tricky stuff. If you're living with a kiddo with some big behaviors happening, it can be mentally and physically exhausting. Strive for progress and presence, not perfection. Just show up every day and try. When in doubt, find that one positive and comment on that. You know, when you're in those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, you're really about to lose it, either walk away or if you can find the one positive they're doing, it will bring a calmness to you and then your child will feed off of that energy. We have all heard these cliches, right? You can't pour from an empty cup, put on your oxygen mask first. When you're trying to extinguish behavior, like I said, actively ignoring is actually really, really difficult to do and can be mentally draining. It's really hard when you see your kid doing these things to not comment on it. So do whatever is going to make you happy and fulfilled and calm so that way you can do what you need to do. But you can only do that, right, if you take care of yourself. Reach out for support. Talk to other families, moms, reach out to the Y, again, pediatricians. I guarantee you if you reach out, other people are going through the same exact thing that you are. Thank you so much for coming. These past 3 weeks have been so fantastic, and I have loved being able to connect with you and hear stories about how all these positive behavior changes are going in your kiddos' lives. Please feel free to email me, excuse me, post on social media, share questions and your success. Let the Y know if there is something in the community that someone needs. This is not easy, what we've all gone through, and the Y cares so much about your family's well-being. So thank you again so much for coming. I am going to turn off my shared screen. Hopefully, if I can work all of this, I'm going to turn off my shared screen. Feel free to type in comments or questions inside the box. If I cannot answer it, I will track down the people that can. So feel free to type something in the box. So let me stop share. All right. So thank you again so much, everyone, for coming. And if you don't want to type something in the box or you don't have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm one of those big email people where I don't prefer to actually type stuff publicly. So feel free to email me. I'll give everyone one more second. All right. Well, thank you again. Oh, thank you. Thank you again so much for coming tonight. Again, we really, really appreciate everyone. I so enjoyed being able to connect with you in this way. You can hop on Facebook if you need the previous two presentations. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Take care. Be well. Bye.